Okay, so we're on page 3 of Erica Damon's Karl and Smithy. And before I start page 3, I'm going to change one thing on page 2, and it's here. I knew the answer, and I think I need something here, and was expecting the look on Smithy's face before he even turned around. Okay, yep. Okay, so let's start line editing the third page. So what happened was the grey horse was pawing the ground, and Smithy said "quit" to the mare, to the horse. His voice cut through the small area, and the horse bobbed its head and flattened its ears. Now, this kind of caught me by surprise because I had been picturing Smithy kind of at the front of his barn, or maybe even outside. So I'm just going to put a note here for Erica. This needs to be shown earlier. So this late in the story, you don't want the reader to have to kind of adjust the picture they see in their head as they're reading. So, so he's in a small space. Okay, so we need to know this earlier. Mez. Karl laughed and Smithy gave him a grin. That was new. Or was it? The way his eyes flashed, that was what Karl had recognized all along. I think I'm gonna change this to, because this makes Karl sound a little bit more uncertain, and that is more poignant. The way his eyes flashed, I don't think it's recognized. I think the word choice, because it was that second emotion that Karl noticed. He couldn't place it, right? If he recognized it, then that meant he could place it. So I think notice would be better here. Mez, she's nearly done. So this is Smithy speaking. Then we'll get you fixed up. Smithy went back to tending the mare. Maybe just simply Smithy turned back to the mare. I think that's good enough. It's implied that he's been tending her and he hasn't quite finished. Karl stepped back, watching from what he hoped was an appropriate distance. Okay, so this is very nice. It shows Karl's vulnerability. And if you want to create engaging characters, likable characters, you always want to do that. Sweat beaded on Smithy's neck and trailed down his muscular shoulders, following his spine into the leather waistband of his chaps. Okay, so does this mean that Smithy is half naked? Because I wasn't quite picturing him half naked. I mean, I'm not complaining. This is nice, but maybe this is something that we could have known earlier. So let me just ask Erica, because she's the one who will know. If so, we need to know earlier. Okay, so you don't want the reader to feel kind of cheated that they didn't know this earlier. They could have enjoyed their mind pictures that much more if they knew. So I think this means that Smithy is half naked. Okay, and if so, yes, we need to know this earlier. Okay, Cal's eyes lingered at the spot. It disappeared. The sweat. Okay, the sweat disappeared. His own chest heating at the sight. He took a breath and then another to quell the tightness building in his stomach. Okay, this is really nice UST, and we have something visceral here, so that's really good. A man came and led the mare away, paying Smithy with hardly a sideways glance. Okay, so the mare's owner came forward to pay Smithy. I don't think we need this. Man came came forward. So I would expect him not to be far away. It's his mare after all, so he would be paying attention, I hope. And he came forward and led the mare away, paying Smithy with barely a glance. Was no one appreciative of his work? So this is Karl's internal monologue, and since it's internal monologue, we're gonna change that to present tense. That's the convention. Karl bit back a rude remark. It wouldn't take much from a towering centaur to set a human in their place, but he had other things on his mind. Okay. I put would be better here. Okay, so Karl bit back a rude remark and said a comma. I think a semicolon would work here. Why? Because that's a complete sentence, and that's a complete sentence, and they're closely related. So the rude remark would have been something that would put the human in his place. So this shows how much bigger the centaur is. But he had other things on his mind. Yes, he does. Okay. Smithy tipped his head, and Karl walked around to the work area, tipped his head. So I'm not sure what this is exactly. And did he incline his head? And is that because the guy paid him for the horse, for the mare? Or is it because Smithy is kind of gesturing for Karl to go into the work area? So maybe we need a bit of explanation here. So yeah, we need to know a little bit what this is about. Is he thanking the man who paid him, or is he gesturing for Karl to go because it's his turn now? Okay. It was hot in there. The iron heating in the fire and the anvil warmth from use. It was hotter in there. I don't think we need this or this. Those little words can really trip a reader up, and removing them takes away nothing and makes the sentence flow better. It was hotter in there, iron heating in the fire, the anvil warm from use. You see that? He lifted his hoof onto the stand, letting Smithy get a good look. Yeah. I'm not sure about get. I think letting Smithy have a good look, letting Smithy take a good look would be better than get, I think. He lifted his hoof onto the stand. Okay. The man studied the hoof, took it in hand and turned it over, moving around Karl and tucked the hoof between his knees. Took it in hand. So Smithy is doing a lot of things in this one sentence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a bit much. So it's a long sentence. He's doing a lot, and I think I would probably break this up. Here. Yeah, I think that's 3 things is probably the maximum you want in one sentence. If you're having, someone do a few things. The man studied the hoof. And I don't think even we need to use the man here. We can just say he, because we just talked about Smithy. Now, this one is Karl, and this one is Smithy, and this one is Smithy again. Yeah, I think it's obvious to the reader that we're talking about Smithy here, so we can just use he. He studied the hoof, took it in hand and turned it over. Moving around Karl, he tucked the hoof between his knees. Yes, I can see him doing that. It's like a farrier. I think that would be kinder to the reader to break up that very long sentence where Smithy is doing 5 things and just let him do 3 things in the sentence and let him do 2 things in the second sentence. I think that works better. Karl staggered a moment, distracted by calloused hands on his coat, and Smithy raised his free hand to Karl's with his, attempting to steady him as if he were a horse. Distracted. Okay, so Karl is distracted by Smithy's hands on his coat. So that's very nice. It's nicely done. And we need to give the reader a pause definitely here. And Smithy raised his free hand to Karl's with his, and you need the comma here, attempting to steady him as if he were a horse. Okay, so this is better. So I added 2 commas here and here, and that makes all the difference because the reader knows where to pause and where to breathe. Okay, so you need to do that for your reader. Okay, he froze as he noticed his mistake. So this is Smithy, because he knows better than that, right? Karl is not a horse. Karl is a centaur. So Smithy can't treat him like a horse. So he froze, noticing his mistake. He froze. I don't think we need there. And this could be just noticing or realizing his mistake. How about realizing? He froze, realizing his mistake. Something like that. Okay, it's American English. The centaurs didn't like to be treated like children the way the horses were. Okay. Centaurs did not like to be treated like children the way horses were. So the horses were treated like children, but the centaurs didn't like it. But Karl did not shake him off as many would have, did not stomp a hoof, nor swish his tail. He resented himself, taking the weight off the legs still notched between Smithy's legs. Okay, he froze, realizing his mistake. Centaurs didn't like to be treated like children. The way horses were. Horses were treated like children, okay, but not centaurs. But Karl did not shake him off. I don't think we need this. That breaks flow. Did not stomp a hoof, nor swish his tail. Now, I know this is negative, and this is negative, but nor we use when we have neither. Neither nor, either or. So in this case, I don't think we need the nor. I think or would be good enough. Karl did not shake him off, did not stomp a hoof or swish his tail. We don't need the comma there. He resented himself, taking the weight off the legs still notched between Smithy's legs. Yes, he's being a very, very patient client. After the longest and maybe best second of the girl's life. Okay, this is hilarious. This is really good. Smithy seemed to gather himself and rubbed his hand down Carl's shoulder to his leg, where it finally joined the other as he thumbed the mud out of the hoof. Careful hands. Yes. See how appreciative Carl is, unlike the horse. The best second of Carl's life. This is hilarious. I love it. This is really good. He gathered himself and rubbed his hand down Carl's shoulder to his leg. Yes, this tiny bit problematic because of this, okay? To the leg. I think we can actually use the here. And I don't think we need this at all. Do the other. Now, I don't think as works here because it's only after he rubbed his hand down that he was able to thumb the mud out of the hoof. So you want to make sure that your character is not doing all sorts of things at the same time because in real life you can't. So it's one thing after another, and then you don't want to use the word then and then he did this and then he did that, right? So let's see if this works. Seemed to gather himself and rubbed his hand down Carl's shoulder to the leg where it joined the other and thumped the mud out of the hoof. Careful hands. Yes. Okay, I think it works better with an than as. Yeah, because he has to reach down to the hoof before he can thump the mud out. Okay, so that makes more sense. Okay, so that was that's page 3. Good.